Min hated the silence of deep space. It gave him too much time to think. His cargo ship, the Meridian's Hope, hummed quietly as it drifted through the neutral zone between human territory and the border. The ship was old, the kind that shook when it jumped to faster-than-light speed, but it was his. He had bought it with his savings after leaving the military 5 years ago. The scanner beeped. Min looked up from his meal of instant noodles and frowned. A distress beacon. Out here, that was unusual. Most ships avoided this region because the Galactic Concordat had strict rules about who could travel where. Humans were still new to the galactic community, barely 50 years since first contact, and they had to follow every rule carefully. He checked the signal. It was weak, coming from about 200 kilometers away. An escape pod, maybe. Min's fingers hovered over the controls. The smart thing to do was ignore it. Getting involved with anything in neutral space could mean trouble, but his training as a military medic kicked in. Someone might be dying out there. He changed course. 20 minutes later, his ship approached a small, damaged pod tumbling through space. It was unlike any human design he had seen. The metal was dark blue, almost black, with strange patterns carved into its surface. Min brought it into his cargo bay using the magnetic clamps and sealed the airlock. When he opened the pod, he stepped back in shock. Inside was an alien, but not one of the species humans normally dealt with. This creature looked like it was made of living crystal. Its body was translucent, with veins of bright blue light running through it. Parts of its structure were cracked and dark, like broken glass. It was barely breathing. Min had seen many species during his time with the military. He knew this one. Though they were slave workers in Concordat space, mining asteroids and doing dangerous jobs no one else wanted. According to galactic law, they were classified as unregistered species. That meant humans were forbidden from helping them, talking to them, or even touching them. The punishment for breaking Protocol 7 Alpha was execution. The alien's eyes, which looked like faceted gemstones, opened slightly. It tried to speak, but only a crackling sound came out. Min could see the cracks spreading through its crystalline body. It was dying. He should close the pod and dump it back into space. That was the law. That was the safe choice. But Min looked at the creature's eyes and saw the same fear he had seen in dying soldiers, the same desperate hope for help. His communicator buzzed. "Min, this is I'm picking up your transponder near the border. What are you doing out there?" His sister's voice was worried. She worked at a nearby research station and always kept track of his routes. "Just checking out a distress signal," he replied, trying to sound casual. "Be careful. Concordat patrol ships are in that sector. They're looking for something." Min looked at the dying. They were looking for this. For him or her. He could not tell the gender. "I'll be quick," he said and ended the call. He dragged the alien to his medical bay. It was light, much lighter than it looked. The crystalline structure was hollow in places. Min's hands shook as he scanned the creature's body. His medical training told him what was wrong. The cracks were like fractures in bone, and the dark areas were where the alien's life energy was failing. In human terms, it was like internal bleeding. There was a treatment. During his military service, Min had worked with a doctor who studied xenobiology. He remembered a case where they had saved an alien with a silicon-based biology using a combination of targeted resonance therapy and mineral supplements. That was similar. Crystalline life forms could be stabilized if you knew how. But using human medical technology on an unregistered species was illegal. More than illegal, it was considered species contamination. The Concordat claimed these laws protected both humans and aliens from dangerous interactions. But looking at the dying creature, Min wondered what they were really protecting. He made his decision. Min worked for 3 hours. He used his medical scanner to find the right frequency to resonate with this crystalline structure. He injected a compound of minerals and nutrients into the cracks. Slowly, very slowly, the dark areas began to glow again. The cracks stopped spreading. The alien's breathing became steady. His scanner suddenly screamed in alarm. 3 ships had just appeared on his sensors. Concordat patrol vessels. They were hailing him. Human vessel Meridian's Hope. This is Commander Al of the Concordat Enforcement Fleet. You are ordered to stop your engines and prepare for boarding. We have detected an unregistered life form on your ship. Min's blood ran cold. They knew. Somehow they knew. This is Meridian's Hope, he replied. I'm a registered cargo hauler. There must be a mistake. Our sensors do not make mistakes, human. If you are harboring an escaped slave, you will be charged with Protocol 7 Alpha violation. Surrender the creature immediately. Min looked at on his medical table. The alien was unconscious but stable. He had saved its life. Now the Concordat wanted him to hand it over. He knew what would happen. The alien would be killed as an example to others who tried to escape. His sister's voice came through on a private channel. Min, I'm monitoring Concordat communications. They have orders to recover thee at any cost. They'll board your ship. They'll find it. I know, he said quietly. There's a way out. Disable your transponder. Jump to the shadow stations. It's dangerous, but Sangwoo still operates there. He can hide you. Sangwoo, his old friend from the military, who had left to become a black market dealer in the lawless parts of space. Min had not spoken to him in 3 years. If I run, I can never come back to human space, Min said. If you stay, you die, Ah replied. The Concordat ships were getting closer. Min had maybe 2 minutes before they were in weapons range. He looked at the alien again. It was alive because he had chosen to help. That had to mean something. He reached for the controls and disabled his transponder. The Concordat ships would lose their tracking lock. He had one chance to jump to faster-than-light speed before they could stop him. I'm sorry, he said. Tell Mom I'm okay. Min, wait. He engaged the jump drive. The stars stretched into lines of light. The Meridian's Hope vanished from Concordat's sensors, carrying 1 human who had broken every rule and 1 alien who had been saved because of it. Behind them, Commander Al watched the empty space where the human ship had been. He sent a message to Concordat High Command. Target has fled, requesting permission to pursue. The reply came quickly. Permission granted. The human must not reach the shadow stations. If he does, kill him. The shadow stations were not on any official map. They existed in the dark spaces between territories, where broken ships and desperate people gathered. No government claimed them. No laws protected them. Min's ship shook as it dropped out of faster-than-light speed near the largest station, a massive collection of connected hulls and platforms that looked like it had been built from shipwrecks. There was still unconscious on the medical table. Min had kept it stable during the 3-day journey, but he was running low on medical supplies. He needed help, and there was only one person in this lawless place he could trust. A message appeared on his screen. Meridian's Hope, state your business or leave. We don't welcome strangers here. I'm looking for Sangwoo, Min transmitted. Tell him an old friend needs help. There was a long pause. Then a different voice came through, one Min recognized. Min, is that really you? What the hell are you doing in Shadow Station? It's a long story. Can I dock? Base 17, and you better have a good reason for coming here. The Concordat has been asking questions about a human cargo ship. Min guided his ship into the docking bay. When the airlock opened, Sangwoo was waiting. He looked older than Min remembered, with scars across his face and a mechanical arm that replaced the one he had lost in the war. But his smile was the same. You look terrible, Sangwoo said. You look worse, Min replied. They clasped hands, then Sangwoo's smile faded. The Concordat is offering a reward for you, 500,000 credits. What did you do? I saved someone I wasn't supposed to save. Min led Sangwoo to the medical bay. When his old friend saw he whistled low. You're insane. Do you know what they'll do to you if they catch you with that? I know. That's why I need your help. I need a doctor who can treat crystalline life forms. Someone who won't report me. Sangwoo thought for a moment. There's a woman named Wu. She runs an underground medical facility in the lower levels. She treats aliens the Concordat won't help. Slaves, refugees, people who can't afford real doctors. She might help you. Might. She doesn't like taking risks, but she's the only chance you have. They moved the onto a medical transport sled and covered it with cargo blankets. The station was crowded with aliens of every species Min had ever seen and many he had not. Most ignored them. In the shadow stations, people learned not to ask questions. Wu's clinic was hidden behind a fake cargo warehouse. The doctor was younger than Min expected, maybe 30, with tired eyes and hands that never stopped moving. She looked at Thee and then at Min. "You're the human everyone is talking about," she said. "The one who broke Protocol 7 Alpha." "Can you help?" Min asked. Wu examined the carefully. She used scanners Min had never seen before, equipment that looked Concordat military grade. After 20 minutes, she looked up with an expression of surprise. "This is remarkable," she said. "You stabilized a crystalline life form using human medical technology. The Concordat says that's impossible." "But I did it," Min said. "Yes, you did, and that's the problem." Wu pulled up a holographic display. There were once a spacefaring civilization. 800 years ago, they had faster-than-light travel, advanced technology, beautiful cities on 12 planets. Then the Concordat came. They conquered thee and classified them as a slave race. "Why?" Sangwoo asked. "Because they could. The Concordat runs on a hierarchy. Council species at the top, provisional members like humans in the middle, and slave races at the bottom. The system only works if everyone believes the slave races are inferior, that they can't be helped or educated or treated as equals." Min understood. If people knew that human technology could heal them. "Then the lie falls apart," Wu finished. "The Concordat has been deliberately letting slave species suffer. They claim certain injuries and diseases are untreatable, but they're not. Human medical technology is different because humans evolved dealing with diverse environments and biology. We build flexible solutions. Concordat medicine is rigid, designed only for council species." The stirred on the table, its eyes opened clearer now. It looked at Min and spoke in a crackling, musical voice. "You saved me. Why?" "Because you were dying," Min said simply. "My name is. I was a mining slave on asteroid colony 7. I tried to escape when I learned they were going to execute my entire work group. We knew too much about the mineral deposits. The Concordat kills slaves who have valuable information." "What information?" Wu asked. "The asteroids we mine contain healing minerals. Minerals that could cure diseases in dozens of species. The Concordat harvests them and keeps them for council species only. We slaves die from the same diseases we could cure." Min felt anger rising in his chest. "That's murder." "That's the Concordat said. They maintain order through control. Control of technology, control of medicine, control of information. You broke their control when you saved me." Alarms suddenly blared through the station. Sangwoo checked his communicator and cursed. "Concordat ships just entered the sector. They're demanding the station authorities hand you over." "This station has no authorities," Wu said. "They know that, which means they'll come in and search every level." Min made a decision. "I need to broadcast something first, before they catch me." He pulled out a recorder and set it up, looked at him with those crystalline eyes. "What are you doing?" "Telling your story. If the Concordat is going to catch me anyway, at least people should know the truth." For the next 10 minutes, spoke into the recorder. He told the story of his people, of the conquest, of the centuries of slavery. He explained how the Concordat kept slave races sick and ignorant deliberately. He showed the scars on his crystalline body from years of mining accidents that were never properly treated. Then Min added his own message. I'm a human named Min. I saved this person because it was the right thing to do. The Concordat says I committed a crime. I say their laws are the crime. If we're supposed to be part of a galactic community, then we should act like a community. That means helping each other, no matter what species we are. Sangwoo uploaded the video to every public network he could access. Within minutes, it was spreading across human colonies, jumping from station to station, carried by underground networks and curious citizens. The door to the clinic exploded inward. Concordat soldiers in powered armor stormed in, weapons raised. Commander Al walked in behind them, his alien face unreadable. Men of Earth, he said, you are under arrest for violation of Protocol 7 Alpha, species contamination, and harboring an escaped slave. You will be taken to Concordat space for public execution. They dragged Min away, tried to fight back, but the soldiers restrained him too. As they were forced into the Concordat ship, Min saw Sangwoo and Wu watching helplessly. But he also saw something else. People throughout the station had stopped what they were doing. They were watching the broadcast on their screens. Humans, aliens, refugees, criminals, all of them were watching Story. The message was spreading, and once a message spreads, it cannot be stopped. Commander Al sealed Min in a cell. Through the small window, Min could see stars passing by as the ship jumped to Concordat space. In 3 days, he would be executed in front of billions. But he had saved a life. He had told the truth. Whatever happened next, that was worth it. The video spread like fire across the galaxy. In human space, millions of people watched tell his story. They watched Min explain why he broke the law, and they got angry. Jin, the leader of the Human Colonial Assembly, stood in her office watching news feeds from a dozen worlds. Every screen showed the same thing: protests. Humans gathering outside Concordat embassies, demanding Min's release. Some carried signs that said, "Free Min," others said, "End the slave system." Her assistant entered the room. "The Concordat ambassador is here. He demands to speak with you." The ambassador was a tall alien with blue skin and 4 arms. He looked furious. "Your people are rioting. They are disrupting Concordat operations on 17 human worlds. You must stop this immediately." "My people are exercising their right to protest," Jin replied calmly. "We're a democracy. I can't just order them to stop." "Then you are in violation of the colonial agreement. Humans agreed to follow Concordat laws when you joined the galactic community." "Concordat laws, not Concordat injustice." Jin pulled up video on her screen. "Is this true? Do you deliberately deny medical treatment to slave species?" The ambassador's face went rigid. "The Concordat's internal policies regarding unregistered species are not your concern. They are when you execute one of my citizens for showing basic compassion." A new figure appeared in the office doorway. Wu Jin, the leader of the Free Contact movement. He was young, passionate, and had been arrested 6 times for organizing protests against Concordat policies. "The ambassador wants us to be quiet and obedient. He wants us to let them murder Min for doing the right thing." "This is a private meeting," the ambassador said coldly. "This is a public issue," Wu Jin shot back. He turned to Jin. "Madam Leader, thousands of humans are ready to march on Concordat facilities. We're not going to stand by while they kill one of us for being decent." Jin felt the weight of the decision on her shoulders. If she supported Min, the Concordat might expel humanity from the galactic community. Humans would lose access to faster-than-light technology, trade routes, and protection from hostile species. But if she stayed silent, she would be accepting that some lives mattered less than others. "Get out," she told the ambassador. "Excuse me." "You heard me. Get out of my office. And tell the Concordat that humanity will not accept this execution. I'm invoking the ancient right of trial by council judgment. Every species gets to present their case before the full Concordat Council. It's your own law. The ambassador left, and Jin collapsed into her chair. I just started a diplomatic war. No, Wu Jin said. You just joined one that was already happening. Meanwhile, in Concordat prison complex on the planet Al, Min sat in a cell designed for humans. It was cold and dark. Guards brought him food once a day but never spoke to him. He had been there for 5 days. On the 6th day, they moved him to a different cell. This one was larger and already occupied. Was there, along with an old whose crystalline body was covered in cracks and dark spots. Min said, relief in his voice. I thought they had already killed you. Not yet. The execution is scheduled for tomorrow. The old looked at him with ancient eyes. You are the human who saved Young. My name is. I am one of the last who remembers freedom. How old are you? Min asked. By your years, 912. I was alive when the Concordat conquered my people. I watched them destroy our cities and chain us. I have been a slave my entire long life, waiting for someone to challenge the system. I didn't challenge anything, I just helped someone. That is the challenge, said. The Concordat's power comes from making people believe the hierarchy is natural, that some species are meant to rule and others meant to serve. But humans are different. You don't have that belief built into your biology or culture. When you see suffering, you try to fix it. That makes you dangerous to the Concordat. Added, your people are protesting. We can hear the guards talking. They're worried because humans are refusing to accept the execution. It won't matter, Min said. The Concordat has already made their decision. Laughed, a sound like breaking glass. Decisions can be unmade. I have seen it before. 800 years ago, another species tried to resist the Concordat. They lost because they stood alone. But you humans have something they didn't. You have technology that works for everyone, not just your own species. You can heal people the Concordat says are untreatable. You can teach skills they say can't be learned. If enough people see that, the whole system falls apart. A guard opened the cell door. The human Min will come with me. The council has agreed to a trial. Min was stunned. A trial? I thought I was already convicted. The human government invoked an ancient law. You will be tried before the full Concordat Council. Every species will watch. If you are found guilty again, the execution will proceed. As Min was led away, called after him. Tell them the truth, human. Tell them what you saw in his eyes. Tell them why you couldn't leave him to die. Make them explain why their law forbids mercy. Back in human space, Ah was coordinating with underground networks across the galaxy. She had discovered something troubling. Min was not the first human to help a slave species. Over the past 10 years, at least 20 humans had been caught and quietly executed. The Concordat had kept it secret to avoid drawing attention. She contacted Sangwoo at Shadow Station. We need to find the others. If there are humans who tried to help and survived, we need their stories. I'll ask around, Sangwoo replied. But you should know the word is spreading among slave species. They're calling Min the one who broke the chain. Some of them are planning rebellions. Rebellions, they'll be slaughtered. Maybe, or maybe they're tired of waiting to die anyway. The night before the trial, protests erupted on 47 worlds. Human protesters were joined by members of slave species who snuck away from their work assignments. They stood together outside Concordat government buildings, chanting for change. Security forces tried to break up the crowds, but there were too many. On Earth, millions gathered in the capital city. On the colony world of New Sol, protesters shut down the spaceport. On Mars, workers went on strike, refusing to load Concordat trade ships. Jin received a message from the Concordat High Arbiter himself on. You are playing a dangerous game, human leader. If you continue this disruption, there will be consequences. The only consequence I see, Jin replied, Is the Concordat finally being forced to justify laws that turn compassion into a crime? See you at the trial. She closed the communication and turned to Du, the human lawyer who would defend Min. Are you ready? Du was an expert in constitutional law, someone who had studied the Concordat's legal system for years. I'm ready, but you should know, the council rarely changes their minds. This trial is mostly for show. Then we'll give them a show they'll never forget, Jin said. In his cell, Min could see through a small window. The planet outside was covered in lights, cities that stretched across continents. Somewhere in those cities were billions of beings. Some were free, some were slaves. Tomorrow he would stand before their rulers and explain why he couldn't let one of them die. He thought about his sister, about his friends, about the life he had left behind. He thought about his eyes when they first met, the fear, the hope, the trust when Min chose to help. If he could go back, would he make a different choice? No, he would save again, 1,000 times over. Whatever happened tomorrow, that was enough. The Concordat Council chamber was enormous, built to hold representatives from 300 species. Min stood in the center, surrounded by floating platforms where council members sat. Billions were watching through live broadcasts across the galaxy. It was the most watched event in galactic history. High Arbiter sat on the highest platform. His species had founded the Concordat 1,000 years ago. They believed strongly in order and hierarchy. We are here, he announced, to judge the human men who violated Protocol 7 Alpha by providing aid to an unregistered species. The law is clear. The penalty is death. However, the human government has requested a full trial. We shall hear both sides. Du stood beside Min. The lawyer looked calm, but Min could see his hands were shaking slightly. They were facing the most powerful government in the galaxy. Overseer Eth, representing the slave-holding council species, spoke first. The facts are simple. The human knowingly broke our most sacred law. He made contact with a species classified as unregistered for 800 years. He used technology to interfere with our legal slave system. This cannot be tolerated. If we allow one human to break the law, others will follow. The hierarchy will collapse. Chaos will spread. Na, the human journalist covering the trial, whispered into her recorder from the observation deck. The prosecution's argument is clear. They're not defending the law based on morality. They're defending it based on maintaining control. Du stepped forward to speak. Honorable council members, I will not argue that my client broke your law. He did. But I will argue that your law is based on a lie. You claim that segregation protocols exist to protect both humans and unregistered species from harmful contact. But the truth is different. These protocols exist to prevent slave species from receiving help. Angry voices erupted from the council platforms. Several species demanded Du be removed for disrespect, but raised a hand for silence. Continue, human lawyer, make your case. Du pulled up a holographic display. I have evidence. Over the past month, with help from sources inside the Concordat, we have accessed medical archives. These show that healing treatments for dozens of slave species exist but are classified as restricted. The Concordat has the ability to cure diseases that kill millions of slaves every year. But you don't. Why? That information is classified for good reason, Overseer Eth said. Some treatments are dangerous if misused. Or maybe, Du replied, they're classified because healthy slaves might question why they're slaves at all. Before the Overseer could respond, something unprecedented happened. Stood up in the observation area. Slaves were not allowed to speak in council chambers. It was forbidden. Guards moved toward him, but his voice rang out, amplified by the chamber's acoustics. I am of the people. My species had cities and art and science before the Concordat came. You destroyed everything and told us we were inferior. You said our bodies were too weak to be treated with advanced medicine. But this human, with his simple tools and kind heart, healed me. If a human can do what you said was impossible, then you have been lying for 800 years. The chamber erupted in chaos. Dozens of other slaves in the observation area stood up. They began speaking, shouting, demanding to be heard. Species that had been silent for centuries suddenly found their voices. "Order," El shouted. "This is a violation of protocol." But Noah's recording everything. She broadcast it live to every network she could reach. The galaxy was watching slaves speak for the first time. Do use the chaos to his advantage. Let me present more evidence. My associate has been investigating Concordat archives. He gestured, and Wu's face appeared on a screen from Shadow Station. "I am Dr. Wu, a human physician," she said. "For 5 years I have been treating refugees and slaves in the Shadow Stations. I have used human medical technology to cure conditions the Concordat claims are untreatable. Crystalline degradation in, neural collapse in al, genetic decay in. All of these conditions have treatments. Simple treatments, but the Concordat keeps them classified." "This is an outrage," Overseer Eth said. "You accuse the Concordat of deliberately causing suffering." "I'm saying the evidence speaks for itself," Wu replied. Min finally spoke. His voice was quiet, but it carried through the chamber. "I'm not a politician or a revolutionary. I'm just a cargo pilot who used to be a medic. When I found dying in that escape pod, I had a choice. Follow your law and let him die, or break your law and save him. I chose to save him. If that's a crime, then I'm guilty. But I'd do it again." "Why?" On asked. There was something in his voice, genuine curiosity. "You knew the penalty. You knew you would lose everything. Why risk it for a creature you had never met?" "Because he was dying," Min said simply. "Because when someone is suffering right in front of you, you help them. That's what humans do. Maybe it's what everyone should do." For a long moment there was silence. Then a voice spoke from one of the lower council platforms. "I wish to speak." It was a representative of a mid-level Concordat species. "I have been a council member for 40 years. I have always followed the protocols. But watching this trial, I realize I have never questioned why we have these laws. We are told they maintain order. But what kind of order requires us to let people suffer?" More voices joined in. Not many, but enough to be heard. Species that had never questioned the Concordat before were starting to ask uncomfortable questions. Overseer Eth saw the danger. "This human has corrupted your thinking. This is exactly why Protocol 7 Alpha exists. Contact with inferior species leads to chaos." "Inferior?" shouted from the observation deck. "You call us inferior, but you fear what happens when others show us kindness. That's not superiority. That's tyranny." The guards finally reached and dragged him away, but it was too late. His words had been broadcast across the galaxy. Slaves on 100 worlds heard him, and they began to think dangerous thoughts. Uncalled for order, the council will vote, all in favor of guilt. The vote was quick. Out of 300 council members, 247 voted guilty. Only 53 voted for acquittal, mostly newer member species and a few mid-level species having doubts. "The verdict is clear," On announced. "Men of Earth, you are guilty of Protocol 7 Alpha violation. You will be executed at dawn tomorrow. This trial is concluded." Min felt strangely calm. He had done what he could. He had told the truth. The rest was up to others now. But as guards led him away, Nuss' broadcast continued. She interviewed the council members who had voted for acquittal. She showed footage of the slaves speaking out. She broadcast deuce evidence about medical treatments being kept secret. And in Shadow Station, Sangwoo made a call. "It's time, execute the plan." "Are you sure?" Woojin asked from Earth. "If we do this, there's no going back." "Min didn't have the luxury of going back," Sangwoo replied. "Neither do we." That night, across 12 different star systems, a coordinated attack began. Underground networks that had been planning for years suddenly moved. Slave work camps were attacked. Prison transports were hijacked. Concordat security stations were overwhelmed by sudden riots. And in the prison complex where Min was held, an explosion rocked the walls. Alarms blared. Guards ran in confusion. Sangwoo's team, wearing stolen Concordat armor, fought their way to the detention cells. Min heard the sounds of weapons fire getting closer. His cell door exploded open. Sangwoo stood there, grinning behind his helmet. "Did you really think we'd let them kill you?" "This is insane," Min said. "Yes, but it's our kind of insane. Come on." They freed and dozens of other prisoners. As they fought their way to the escape ships, Min saw something that took his breath away. Slave workers in the prison complex were joining the fight. They were fighting back against their guards, using tools as weapons, overwhelming security through sheer numbers. The rebellion had begun, and across the galaxy, 47 slave colonies declared their independence from the Concordat. The age of obedience was over. The galaxy was burning. 3 weeks after the prison break, the Concordat was fracturing from within. 47 slave colonies had declared independence. Dozens more were rising up. The council species were divided. Some wanted to negotiate. Others demanded military force to crush the rebellion. Min stood on the bridge of a stolen Concordat frigate that had been renamed Freedom's Hope. Around him were humans and members of a dozen other freed slave species. They had no formal military training, but they were learning fast. "Incoming message from Earth," Ah said. She had joined the rebellion, leaving her safe job at the research station. "It's Jin." The human leader's face appeared on screen. She looked exhausted. "Min, I need to speak with you. The situation is critical." "I know. The Concordat is preparing a massive assault." "That's not all. Humanity is splitting. Half our worlds want to support the rebellion. The other half wants to stay loyal to the Concordat. We could have a civil war." Min understood the weight of her words. "What do you need from me?" "I'm announcing that humanity will share all our medical technology freely with any species that wants it. No restrictions, no patents, no control. We're breaking the Concordat's technological monopoly. But I need you to help coordinate distribution. You're the symbol of this rebellion. People trust you." "I'm not a symbol. I'm just a pilot who made a choice." "And that choice changed everything," Jin replied. "Will you help?" Min looked around the bridge at the faces watching him. Was there, now serving as a liaison to other groups. Sangwoo was coordinating supply lines. Even Wu had left Shadow Station to provide medical training to rebel forces. "Yes," Min said, "I'll help." Over the next 2 weeks, human medical teams deployed to freed colonies. They taught local populations how to use the technology. They shared designs and blueprints freely. Species that had suffered for centuries under Concordat neglect suddenly had access to treatments that saved millions of lives. The Concordat watched in horror as their control slipped away. High Arbiter on called an emergency council session. "The humans have betrayed us. They are arming our enemies with technology. We must respond with force." But Mi-sun, a former Concordat liaison who had secretly been documenting crimes for years, had other plans. She released her archive to every news network in the galaxy. Thousands of files showing genocide, forced labor, deliberate withholding of medical care, and systematic oppression. The files were devastating. They showed Concordat officials discussing how to keep slave species weak. They showed council members joking about suffering. They showed 800 years of calculated cruelty. The galaxy reacted. Mid-tier Concordat species, the ones who had always been uncertain about the slave system, began to waver. Some declared neutrality. Others quietly sent supplies to rebel colonies. Admiral Wu, commander of the Human Defense Fleet, made his own decision. Against orders from half the human government, he led a faction of the fleet to defend rebel territories. "I joined the military to protect people," he told his crew, "not to help oppressors." The Concordat assembled the largest military force in galactic history. 300 warships, led by High Arbiter on himself, prepared to jump to the. It was where the rebellion had begun, where and the freed had established their new government. The Concordat planned to destroy the planet as an example to others. Men received the warning with only 6 hours to prepare. The rebel forces were outnumbered 10-1. They had no chance in a straight battle. "We can't win," Sangwoo said, looking at the tactical display. "We need to evacuate as many people as possible." But had a different idea. "We don't have to win, we just have to make them question if they should be fighting at all." He explained his plan. It was dangerous and required perfect timing, but it might work. When the Concordat fleet arrived at they found the rebel fleet waiting. The human ships, the stolen Concordat vessels, and the hastily armed civilian craft formed a defensive line in front of the planet. On opened a communication channel. "Rebel forces, you will surrender immediately or be destroyed. This is your only warning." Min replied, broadcasting on all frequencies so every ship in both fleets could hear. "High Arbiter, I want to ask you a question. How many of the soldiers in your fleet are there because they believe in the Concordat's mission? How many are there because they were ordered? And how many are there because they have no other choice?" "Your questions are irrelevant. You will surrender." "Let me tell you what I see," Min continued. "I see ships crewed by species who are one step away from being slaves themselves. I see soldiers from worlds that joined the Concordat because the alternative was conquest. I see people who have been told their entire lives that the hierarchy is natural and necessary. But it's not. The files Mi-Sun released prove it. The Concordat is built on lies." "Enough," unordered, all ships prepare to fire. But interrupted. "Wait, let me speak, not as a rebel, as his image appeared on every screen. 800 years ago my people were like you. We thought the Concordat represented order and civilization. Then they came to our worlds and destroyed everything. They told us we were inferior. They forced us into slavery. They let us suffer and die. And they told us it was for the greater good." He paused, letting his words sink in. "But one human refused to accept that. One human saw me dying and chose to help, even knowing it would cost him everything. That one act of kindness showed me something the Concordat never could. That mercy is stronger than hierarchy. That compassion is more valuable than order. That we are all worth saving." Silence filled the communication channels. Then a voice spoke from one of the Concordat warships. "This is Captain of the cruiser Eternal Duty. I have a question for the High Arbiter. Is what said true? Did we conquer his people?" "Captain, you are out of line," unwarned. More voices joined in. Officers from different ships asking questions, demanding answers. The files Mi-Sun released had planted seeds of doubt, and now those seeds were growing. "All ships, this is High Arbiter on. You will follow orders or face court-martial." But the questions kept coming. Species that had never questioned the Concordat before were suddenly asking why. Why do we fight for a system that treats billions as slaves? Why do we maintain an order built on suffering? Then something extraordinary happened. The delegation, representing 50 warships, broke formation. "We will not fire on the rebels. We declare neutrality." More ships followed. Not all of them, not even most of them, but enough to make On's fleet unable to guarantee victory without massive casualties. The High Arbiter faced an impossible situation. He could order the attack and maybe win, but it would be a bloody battle that would tear the Concordat apart. Or he could retreat and admit weakness. He chose to retreat. "All ships withdraw, this is not over." But it was over. As the Concordat fleet jumped away, Min knew the old system was dying. It would take years, maybe decades, but the cracks were too wide to repair. 5 years passed. The galaxy was messier now, but freer. The Concordat had splintered into multiple factions. Some species maintained the old hierarchy. Others formed new alliances based on equality. Dozens of former slave species now had their own independent governments. Humanity had emerged as a leader in the new galactic order, not because of military strength, but because of their willingness to share technology and help others. Min and ran a free medical clinic on a border world where species from across the galaxy came for treatment. They trained doctors from hundreds of worlds in human medical techniques. The clinic was always busy, always full of patients who would have died under Concordat rule. One day, Ah visited with news. She was now a reporter covering the new galactic government. "There's something you should see," she said, showing him a message. It was a distress beacon, a ship carrying refugees from a recently liberated world, now stranded in deep space. The refugees were from a species the old Concordat had classified as unregistered. Helping them was still technically illegal in some parts of the galaxy. Looked at Min. "What will you do?" Min smiled. He had answered that question 5 years ago and his answer had not changed. "We help them. That's what we do." He plotted a course to the distress signal, prepared the medical bay. As their ship jumped to faster-than-light speed, Min thought about how much had changed. One choice, one act of compassion. It had sparked a rebellion that changed the galaxy. But for Min, it had never been about starting a revolution. It was simpler than that. When someone was dying in front of you, you helped them. When the law said you couldn't show mercy, you broke the law. Some rules were meant to be broken. Some systems were meant to fall. And sometimes, the most powerful act of rebellion was simply refusing to look away from suffering. The galaxy was not perfect now. There were still conflicts, still injustice, still pain. But there was also hope. There were species working together who had never met before. There were doctors sharing knowledge across cultural boundaries. There were people who had been slaves now raising children in freedom. Min had not set out to change the world. He had just tried to save one life. But that was enough. Because every galaxy-changing revolution starts with one person deciding that compassion matters more than compliance. That kindness is worth any risk. That every life, no matter what species, is worth saving. As their ship approached the distress beacon, Min activated the communication system. "This is Freedom's Hope. We received your distress call. We're here to help." And once again, he broke every rule that said he should not.